Welcome back to week 4 of Bethany, New Grounds for Believing. We are talking about my girl Martha today. I am so excited for this day. I hope this week's homework has really opened your eyes to the way that Martha's story has sometimes been framed by one single lens, instead of possibly the other avenues or the other lessons that we were supposed to glean from her in these scriptures. We see in Luke 10, she's a host. We see in Luke 11 that she's a believer receiving one of the greatest statements ever. And then we see in John 12 that she's back serving, but there's something different. She's serving out of a posture of peace. And I love this because when we take the time to do a scripture adventure and dive into stuff, I love the realness and the authenticity that God does that says, hey, have you ever thought about it this way? Or at least that's what he does with me. And I hope that you took this journey with me and maybe it opened your eyes to a few things. So let me talk about a few key points that I want to share about Martha's life. The gift of responsibility and the sacred balance between serving and sitting. There is such great truth in these. First, we had to start by reframing her story. It was so important that in that first week that we sat down these preconceived notions so that we could look at her again. So you see, Martha wasn't being rebuked in Luke 10. She was being redirected. And when we look at that story in Luke's gospel and we understand it, that this wasn't somebody being scolded, this was someone being taught and someone that Jesus was sharing insight with, I think we walk away with it with a different approach and a different understanding. Second, she had a sacred responsibility. I shared a quote from Pastor Stephen Fortrick that just rocked my world and met me right when I was in a moment of just putting this Bible study down and never letting it come to fruition. I felt like I was the only one that had to see Martha in this way. And so I kind of felt inadequate on actually finishing the Bible study and writing it until that one day as I was driving to an appointment and I heard him on a podcast. And you heard me share in your homework about how he talked about she had the gift of responsibility. You see, it says that Martha welcomed him into her home. She was the one providing space for people to encounter the Messiah and maybe even other rabbis as they were journaling through this area and their town of Bethany. We have to understand that this was a sacred responsibility, something that she wasn't just serving to keep herself busy or to complete a to-do list. She was serving because it was important to her and because she felt she had a duty to provide the space for people because she had the means to. And then she had honest faith. Okay, I need to be real here because I feel like my girl understood the Lazarus part of the story like I did. Did you catch it when she says to Jesus about the stone being rolled away, won't there be a smell? Yes, thank you. Somebody is asking that question. Yes, please don't roll away the stone and call my brother out from the grave till we address the key point here. Is he going to smell? I loved it. I was like, I can relate to you so well. And I want to challenge you here to see, is there ever a tension with you between your faith and your realism? Don't let there be. They can actually coexist. God created us the way that he did for a reason, and it's not black and white with God. Yes, there's laws and commands and orders, but we're humans with emotion and history and things that come behind. Martha was deeply concerned, not necessarily for her brother, but even all the other people around. And I love this about her. She was honest. She had questions, and she approached the Messiah with them. Right now, friend, there could be something that you're struggling with. And it may seem so silly to you to take it to Jesus, but I want you to hear this with Martha right here. He welcomes that. He tells you, bring it to me. Let's walk it out together. I want to wrestle with this with you. And he'll be right there and give you the answers just like he did every time with Martha. And lastly, the balancing act. She is so good at teaching us what this looks like. We see her at the opening example in Luke of just getting that redirect of there's a time for there to be service and there's a time for sitting in a stillness with me. And when we get to the end of her story and the things that we see shared about her, here she is walking it out beautifully in John 12 with such a peace about her and just doing what she does best. Don't let somebody tell you that you need to change and be like somebody else until you sit with the Messiah, until you wrestle it out with him, and he tells you. He's the only one that can redirect you. He's the only one that is there to give you the correction and let you understand what is needed. And so I want to challenge you. Don't let people speak into your life that don't have the authority to do so. Martha was honest with her questions. She was honest with her concerns. She was honest with her emotions and how she felt in the moment of serving before she had the peace. And Jesus helped her walk that out. So today, sisters, let's act. How can you do that? How can you find that wonderful balancing act where there's peace in your serving? That's what sets Martha apart, is she was grounded in peace in her service. I hope to see you next week as we begin to venture our closing circle around this family and what they have to share. Thanks for being here.